Welcome to the top of the morning show. It is your girl TT from the D. I am excited, everybody. It is Friday, TGIF, and it's been a busy last couple of weeks, right? Whew, we are days away from voting. Don't forget, we must vote next week, Tuesday. But I recently just finished, as of yesterday, the 30-day scripture challenge, but also I did some fasting from some things. I had cut out red meat. I almost did 30 days too. I think out of the 31 days, I did red meat about 3 times. And I really was not doing coffee. I didn't do coffee until I actually Friday before I left for my conference. So I had did 21, 22 days with no coffee. So I was doing a roll. I wanted to do 30 days. And the beautiful thing about just desiring to do things when you want to do it in the flesh is just picking up the pieces from where you left off, right? And for me, it falls into just being obedient. And it brings me to talking about what that looks like when I had to give you 30 scriptures, right? If you've been following me for quite a while, I go through these seasons where I do 30-day scripture challenges. And this was one of them. It's been a long time. And I just had to be obedient. And last week, while I was away at a conference for work, I really felt like, oh my God, that I was being disobedient, but I really wasn't. I had everything that I needed, I thought, to prepare myself to be ready. And I was like, oh, from every night I'm going to go and record. And I had this whole plan. And when I got to the airport, I tested it out. And that's when the epic fail started. And it continued when I got there. And I just said, oh my God, so I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do. And then I just doubled up on Monday, this past Monday, and made sure you had all your scriptures. So you have a total of 30 scriptures for the month of October. During the top of the morning show this morning, I want to talk to you about disobedience. How they always, when we're acting out, they have consequences. It's like every reaction is sparked from an action, I should say. If you look at 1 Samuel 31, whether we're talking about stealing cookies from a cookie jar, candy from a candy jar, your parents tell you to clean up your room, you stuffing things in a closet, under the bed, throwing away stuff. If you are in college and you are rushing through writing that term paper and now you're committing plagiarism, doesn't matter. Wrong is wrong. And there's always consequences to when we are behaving inaccurately, right? Depending on your age, you could lose privileges, be on punishment, get fired. It just depends. But the result of disobedience can be an inconvenience. And it can change your life for the bad. Okay? Think about this. Let me see, how can I say this? I don't want to go deep this morning, but I will a little bit. I will, in order for you to understand it. Okay. In 1 Samuel 31, many fell dead. All the Israelites were forced to flee, and Saul's army, along with his sons, were killed. Because of Saul's disobedience, he no longer had the Lord's protection, and the Philistines' arrow found him. Fearing what would happen when the enemy saw him wounded on the battlefield, Saul asked his armor bearer to kill him. When the armor bearer declined out of fear, Saul killed himself. Saul's demise shows us 4 lessons. 1, obedience brings God's presence and favor. Disobedience leaves us on our own to suffer the consequences of our actions. 2, even one bad choice can bring long-lasting consequences. Success, bad choices can bring catastrophic results, death, and worse. You might say, what is worse? 3, our disobedience doesn't just affect us, but those consequences can filter down and fall upon those around us. And 4, sometimes we can't fix disobedience without a lot of pain. Sometimes we just can't fix it at all. See, Saul was the Lord's chosen king for the Israelites, but rather than trusting that God knew best, Saul's ego took first place in his own heart. And when it did, disobedience manifested. And he started doing things his way. He lost everything by losing sight of the only thing that mattered, his relationship with the one true king. Now I'm going to ask you to do some reflection for yourself, okay? And this is all rhetorical. 1, recall a time when you were disobedient. Do you remember what the consequence or consequences were? And if you do remember, and if there were, what did you learn from that? I'm going to leave you with a couple of scriptures here, okay? As I went through the 30-day scripture challenge, the plan was to be obedient, to listen, to wait, to read, to trust, and to share. So I always ask God to be the ears to hear what I can't hear and the eyes to see what I can't see. In Isaiah 31:21, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Prompt. Have you ever heard someone behind you telling you which way to turn, other than the way you're being led? What do you have to do if you can't see them? You have to be quiet. Intentionally make quiet place this time, this day, right now. When you're done listening to me this morning, turn down, pause, or put your phone on vibrate and just meditate. Take a few minutes out and spend time with yourself in complete silence. Just listen and see what you hear. I have found that being in obedience has been rewarding for me. Also, it has saved my life in several issues and situations that I know for a fact. I also know what it's like for me to be disobedient as a grown woman, and tell God what I'm not going to do or don't want to do. Not so much not going to do, but don't want to because too worried about what man or woman may think. Just to be in a spirit of, okay, I'm going to do this and do it, and then realize, wow, it needed to be done. If you haven't tried God, if you haven't tried Jesus, I just ask you to try. Don't do it for me, do it for you. Just try. And that's rhetorical request. Well, I hope that you enjoy your weekend. Whatever it is you do, be safe. Don't forget next week, you got to get out there and vote, y'all. Vote, 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 vote. Anyone you know 18 and older, encourage them to vote along with you. Make it a beautiful morning. Go to breakfast before you go to vote, or go to breakfast after you vote, and talk about not necessarily who you voted for, because that's your business, but just talk about how you feel. Because your one vote could be the way that gets us the win that we want to see. But not voting, definitely, you can't partake in winning if we don't win, because it could have been your one vote that made the difference. Well, that's all I have for you on this beautiful Friday. Until the next time we leave footprints across the sun, it is your girl TT from the D, and I'll see you soon.